Hi there, my name is Kelly Cody Grimm.
And I'm Max Grimm.
And we are Creative Actors Lab. What we want to do is just talk a little bit about how you can bring creativity into your everyday life.
And hello again, this is Max
everybody.
And Kelly. And I wanted to say, this is a podcast when we're coming up with ideas for stuff. Probably one of my fondest memories when I was back in the day taking acting lessons in school, that there came a time during a voice class, it was towards the end of the semester, and we were all a bunch of stressed out college students, and we had a big production coming up and a bunch of final exams and all this and that, and and everything else that comes with being a 22-year-old theater student, and we were all stressed out. My voice teacher actually said we're going to do this one assignment of reading children's stories. And you had to have like one main narrator, and then you had to do the character voices, and you needed a minimum of 3 character voices. And, and we all kind of went, oh, Lord, what is this silliness? But it was really one of the fondest memories I have of back in the day, and just because we were all so stressed out, and we all spent an hour and a half, one class period, just reading each other children's stories, and it was the most healing, cathartic, calming, sort of
nurturing.
Yeah, but bringing us back to why we do this in the first place, because acting, basically, it's playing pretend like we did when we were kids. So, and I want to say also the stories that we're going to read were written by our daughter Amber, who is really one of the sweetest, most creative people I've ever met. And I'm not just saying that because I'm dad and I'm biased, but she's got a very pure and a very true heart, and when she writes these stories, she's really in her element. And and actually, I will say, she's a really good actress. When you hand her a script and she cold reads, she doesn't overthink it. She just does it, and that's and she doesn't have a ton of training. I mean, she's seen what we do. But that's just, to me, so satisfying, is when she just does that. I'm like, cool. She has the great gift of being able to remember what it's like to be as a child. And it's I wish that for everyone, for every creative person, is that you need a part of your mind and your soul that harkens back to childhood. So, and also, before we begin, 2 of the stories we have, if you've been with us in class before, we occasionally have cats walking across, and we have this one black cat named Boo, who is he's full of mischief, and he's got a real personality about him, and he's just a very sweet and kind of sassy little boy sometimes. So two of the stories are about him, about our daughter writing about one of our cats. So how much more charming does it get? So
it honestly doesn't. Yeah, Boo likes to snuggle with me in the morning,
yes.
And that's like the best way to start your day.
I hope you guys enjoy this.
Okay.
So, we'll start with things called Boo's Zoo Adventure. We'll take turns. I will be the narrator, and then she'll do the character voices, then she'll be the narrator, and I'll do the character voices for the next stories. So, are we ready? Okay. Brings me back to our days of doing radio theater way back when. Okay, this is called Boo's Zoo Adventure by Amber Grimm. Boo was excited. It was his first time at the zoo. The first place he wanted to go was to see the lions. Once inside the gates, he ran to where he thought the lion's den would be. But then Boo looked around, and he couldn't find his parents. In the distance, Boo heard the voices of small animals. He walked through the tunnel and saw a classroom full of little creatures being taught by a lion. Boo shivered in the corner.
Class, I need to help this little kitty,
explained one lion. Once the students left, the lion approached Boo in the corner.
Hey there, my little buddy. My name is Wyatt. Where did you come from?
I was with my family, but I lost them. Can you help me?
What's your name?
Wyatt asked.
My name is Boo.
I'd be happy to help you, Boo.
Wyatt took Boo through a secret passage where they spotted the gorilla enclosure. A baby gorilla named Chloe looked nervous.
Is she okay?
Boo asked.
This is Chloe. She gets very shy when she meets new faces. She's on what the vets call the spectrum. Sometimes it's hard for her to meet new friends.
Wyatt explained.
Don't be scared, Chloe. I'm on the spectrum too.
Boo said.
Really?
Chloe asked. Boo nodded.
I get nervous when I meet new people, too.
Chloe felt relieved knowing that she wasn't alone.
Boo lost his parents, and we're going to try to find them.
Wyatt said.
Can I help?
Chloe asked. Wyatt smiled.
I don't see why not.
Boo cheered.
Yay, 3 heads are better than 1.
Boo, Wyatt, and Chloe searched all around the zoo, but Boo's parents were nowhere to be found.
I miss Mommy and Daddy.
Chloe smiled.
Don't worry, Boo. We'll find them. How about we get some ice cream?
Wyatt suggested. Boo and Chloe looked happy. Who can say no to ice cream? As the ice cream lady handed them their frozen treats, one of the elephant's trumpets scared poor Chloe.
Chloe, what's wrong?
Boo asked. Chloe couldn't answer because she was too terrified.
She doesn't like loud noises. They upset her.
Wyatt said.
Hey, I got an idea. I'll be right back.
Boo said. As Wyatt comforted Chloe, Boo ran to the gift shop and then gave Chloe a stuffed panda to calm her down.
Are you okay now?
Boo asked.
I don't like loud noises.
That's
If loud noises ever scare you, find a quiet place and think of something happy.
Boo suggested.
And if you need extra help, come and find me. I'll be happy to help.
Wyatt said.
Boo! Is that you?
A familiar voice said.
Mommy, Daddy.
Boo ran up and gave his parents a giant hug.
Oh, we were so worried about you.
Mommy said.
Please don't run off like that.
Daddy said.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're safe, and that's all that matters, Daddy said.
Dad said, smiling.
Can I come back and see Wyatt and Chloe?
Boo asked.
Of course.
Mommy and Daddy replied.
But first, we need to talk about not running off.
Daddy said.
Okay, Mommy and Daddy. I'm glad we found each other.
Boo was also happy that he made 2 new friends.
The
The
end.
end.
Oh, yeah,
And-
I really like that.
And
That's such a sweet story.
Yeah, and something, another point I guess I wanted to make about this also, in acting in general, reading is very important. Just reading in general. If you're not going to read scripts, read novels, read poetry, read nonfiction, whatever you want, but just reading skills and comprehension are very important. And also cold reading.
Mm-hmm.
We've not rehearsed this, by the way. And
So it's cold.
it's
Very cold.
so we're going to make mistakes, and you know what, that's how we learn. So anyway,
Absolutely.
so this next one,
I'm actually going to narrate, and Max is going to do different voices. So, I love these stories, and this is fun. Again, we haven't rehearsed it, so it's fun to be able to switch off. And you know what? We had a few mistakes. That's okay. Mistakes happen. Don't worry.
okay, this is called Rapunzel Pup.
In a little teal house sat an Afghan pup named Rapunzel. All day long, she looked out the window. Rapunzel's mom would not let her go outside and play, and you're probably wondering why. It's because Rapunzel had a fake left leg. Her mom worried that everyone would tease her, so she keeps her locked up all day and to protect her feelings. Rapunzel just wants to play with the other kids, but she's afraid her mom will get mad. One day, Rapunzel sat by the window and she heard 2 small voices.
Hey, Rapunzel Pup,
Said a girl's voice. Rapunzel looked down and saw a possum and a raccoon.
I'm Ben. This lovely possum is my friend Pippa. Why won't you come down and play? My mommy won't let me.
Explained Rapunzel.
Why not?
Asked Ben.
I have a fake leg.
Rapunzel replied.
Can we see?
Ben asked.
I don't know.
Rapunzel frowned.
We won't make fun of you, we promise. Cross our hearts.
Promised Ben.
Well, okay.
Rapunzel said.
Rapunzel Pup, let down your hair.
They called. Rapunzel let down her long, beautiful hair and climbed down. And once on the ground, Rapunzel showed them her leg. They were amazed.
What happened?
Pippa asked.
I was born without my lower leg, and doctors gave me this fake one to replace it.
She explained.
Would you like to play with us?
Pippa asked.
I'd love to.
Rapunzel said. They played tag, drew on the sidewalk with chalk, and even gave each other makeovers and braided Rapunzel's hair. While they happily played on the swings, a tiger cat saw Rapunzel's leg.
Hey, robot, nice leg. Where'd you get it? The freak show?
He teased. Rapunzel began to cry. Pippa comforted her while Ben gave the tiger a piece of his mind.
She's not a robot. She was born without a lower left leg and has a fake one to replace it. Maybe you should ask instead of just judging,
Ben said. The tiger cat felt terrible. He didn't know.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm just a curious cat.
Rapunzel wiped her tears and smiled.
It's okay. All you have to do is ask. I'll remember next time.
The cat replied.
Do you want to play?
Rapunzel asked.
Really? After I made fun of you?
He asked.
I make friends, not enemies. My name is Rapunzel. My name is Stripes. It's good to meet you.
They continued to play until the sun went down. Rapunzel bid her new friends goodbye and went home.
Hi, Mommy.
Rapunzel greeted as she came in through the back door.
Hello, sweetie. I see you made some new friends. I hope you were careful. I was. Can I see them again?
Rapunzel asked hopefully.
Yes, I saw how much fun you had, and they seem nice. Really?
Rapunzel asked.
You can go outside and play with your new friends. Just be careful.
Mommy said.
Yay!
Rapunzel cheered, and it was the best day ever.
The
end. I think what's great about these stories is that, with animals dealing with very human emotions, you can discuss those things. And so, if you did have maybe a child in the class that did have some kind of disability, this would be a good story to kind of open that up and just ask, well, what works for you? What would you like to see? I was actually on the Big Creek Greenway the other day, and I saw a woman actually walking with an artificial leg, and she had shorts on, so you could definitely see it was an artificial leg. And I said, hi, how are you doing? Didn't want to draw any attention to it, but I'm like, you know what, that is awesome.
And that just made me think I think probably one of the greatest things about acting, if you partake of it and get some lessons and some some experience and so forth, probably one of the most important things I think acting really helps you to do is you literally walk in another person's shoes. You, even if it's a character you may not necessarily like or understand, you come to in the course of acting discover what it's like to be other people, albeit in a fictitious sort of setting. At least for me, and I'm not the only person who said this, that you come to get more compassionate. You come to get more empathetic and more understanding of people, and I think that's one of the greatest things that the art and the craft and the science of acting can bring to humanity in general. So.
And I think it teaches you also to be a good listener.
Yeah.
Whenever we're talking now, if you were having people go and Max and I are switching narrator and voices and things like that, I think it's also a really good, I was actually listening to another podcast with an actor that was talking about, he was really struggling with, there were 3 people in the scene and he wasn't sure when he was supposed to go because he really hadn't learned kind of the fine art of memorizing. And I always tell our students, record everybody's lines on your phone and then listen to them back. There's also apps that can help you do that as well. But, just if you do that on your voice memos, and the more that you get used to hearing the entire scene and changing it up, and then you're doing the other characters, then when you're in the scene, you can stay present, and it's going to flow better for you, rather than you going, oh, I only need to know the last few words of their lines. Well, they could paraphrase it. So if you don't really know the whole scene, and you're only focused on your lines, it's going to throw you, they're going to have to do multiple takes and things like that. So I'm an auditory learner, so it really does help me a lot to listen to it back. If it helps you just, read it and then have somebody read it back to you, or, even you do your lines and then you just record the lines back rather than the whole scene. But yeah, just being a good listener and working on that, I think, is really helpful.
One thing also that also just made me think of, there's something when you're learning something, whatever it is, and this could certainly apply to learning lines in a script. It's kind of a funny neuroscience thing, but basically what happens is when you're sitting there and you're learning, you're studying new material, be it a script or whatever, about every maybe 10 minutes or so, just stop what you're doing, sit back, and do nothing for like 30 seconds. And apparently what happens is during the 30 seconds when you take that break from studying and the repetition, what happens is in that period of time, whatever you're learning goes through your brain literally 20 times. And just those little tiny breaks help your brain to absorb, and it goes into the deeper levels, and that's how you can remember stuff quicker and retain it longer. It's just a little trick I discovered, because a lot of actors do struggle with memory, and that one helps. That one helps, and there's some science behind that.
And, you know, just within that, an observation I've made when I'm coaching younger kids, and we play the game Emotions that we talked about in a previous podcast, where, you know, they've got their monologue, they've memorized it, then you're, you know, yelling out happy, sad, or whatever. And I noticed just that kids will struggle with that a little bit more, because we are conditioned to, you memorize your facts and you learn what that is, and there can't be too much of a change from that. And when you start throwing those emotions out, you know, it's kind of like, it's like they learn their math homework. So, you know, if it's 3 + 6 is equal to 9, and then you're like angry, they're going to go, but no, 3 + 6 is always 9. You know, so that's how they're used to doing that. So when they're learning lines, it's a very, very fixed way in their brain. So, you know, I think trying, you know, even your monologues, I think a good way to slow down, because sometimes we get really excited about our monologues and we want to go really fast because, you know, we think we're under time, or if we don't go fast, then we'll forget something. But, you know, I think you've had a really good suggestion. Try it like you're reading a children's story. And then that just gets you to go, oh, I can slow down. I'm taking that time. I'm getting quieter. I'm finding those different levels. And, you know, it can make it fun for yourself as well.
And when it stops being fun, that's when you need to go do something else.
Yeah, go do something else. Just, you know.
So we have another Boo story.
Yes.
This one actually came from our cats are pretty well, with the exception of one. They're inside cats, and Boo, being a black cat, one night just decided, because he's that sort of a, you know, mischievous, you know, young teenager, he decided to go run out the door. And of course, you know, the whole idea of trying to find a black cat in the darkness is just futile. So Boo had an adventure one night, and that's where, and he came back the next morning, but this is where the story comes from. It is called The Moon Follows Boo, and I'm going to narrate, and Kelly's going to do the character voices.
Okay.
So, all right. It was a starry night at Boo's house. Everything was peaceful and quiet, and Boo was bored. He wanted to go out and play, but it was too dark.
I wish I could go outside,
Boo said. All of a sudden, a little firefly appeared at the window. This caught Boo's attention. He tried to jump and grab it, but it flew away. He sneaked outside and saw that there was a horde of fireflies. Boo was shocked.
Wow, it's so bright!
He jumped and pounced, trying to catch them. This was fun. All this beautiful moving and dancing whenever Boo tried to get them. However, Boo's fun came to an end when he realized he's far from his house. Everything was dark and scary. The trees had eyes, and he swears the boogeyman was watching him.
Mommy, Daddy!
Boo cried. No one could hear him. He's all alone and scared.
Oh, don't be afraid, Boo,
a gentle voice said. Boo looked up and saw the bright, shining light of the moon. The moon spoke again.
I'll use my light to guide you home.
Boo was overjoyed.
Thank you.
The moon smiled.
You're welcome. You shouldn't be out here by yourself.
While the moon guided Boo back home, they talked and got to know each other.
It's wonderful to have a friend to talk to,
the moon said.
Do you not have any friends?
Boo asked.
I'm afraid not. No one down there notices me.
The moon said. The moon would tell Boo that she gets sad because no one would talk to her. She'd give them beautiful starry nights, colorful neon parties, and she'd even help those find their way back home, like Boo. They love her, but they don't notice her. Boo felt bad for the moon. She deserved a friend.
Whenever I feel alone, I think of the things that make me happy, like catnip and naps. What makes you happy?
Boo asked.
Well, I like watching human and animal babies dreaming, and I like watching campfires.
The moon said.
If you just keep thinking of those happy thoughts, you won't feel so lonely.
Boo said. The moon smiled. These happy thoughts calmed her, and she no longer felt lonely. She's even more happy knowing that she's made a new friend. However, their journey came to an end when they arrived at Boo's house.
Here's your stop.
The moon said. Boo frowned.
I don't want to leave you.
The moon smiled.
I'm okay, Boo, but now that I've made a new friend, I don't feel like I'm lonely anymore.
But can we still talk?
Boo asked.
Anytime you want, sugar. Now you go home to your family and they are worried about you.
The moon said. Boo's family was so happy to see him. He got cuddles from Daddy and kisses from his big sisters and Mommy. When he went to bed, the moon was watching over him with a smile on her face. He was happy to have a new friend that he could see every night.
Aww.
The end. And I want to make mention of something. Some of Amber's stories, this next one in particular, tug at my heartstrings.
Yeah.
We've done these in classes, and we've had grown men get all misty and woozy and teary and sniffly and everything like that. This story's one of them that when Lady Gaga was started singing jazz with Tony Bennett, the problem she was having is she said there were some of the old jazz standards that she would just get very emotional about it, and she would just start crying in the middle of it. And she said one of the greatest things she ever learned was from Tony Bennett. He taught her how to sing while crying. And it's all, it's all breath control. It's all, you can be all emotional, but if you keep just a relaxed control of your breath, you can actually vocalize, you can sing, you can speak, you can, through tears or really through any emotion. And I always love that story about the two of them. It's just and how this 90-year-old jazz singer helps, the pop superstar and with all the crazy costumes and stagecraft and performance art and everything else that she does. But I think that to me just touches my heart.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, it's true, and you bring up a good point, like as actors, there's a really good chance that we are going to have to do scenes that are emotional and then continue to have to do that dialogue and monologue. And so, and that's a podcast for another day, but, just the breath control and being able to make sure that you've got that you're not getting too much, in the back of your throat, that you're not going to be able to continue, or worse, you get so into it and you're yelling and shrieking and you're just going, carrying on, you're going all out, Greek Medea. And then, you've lost your voice, and then an AD or a PA is going to lean in and go, hey, you know what, we got to go back to one. I'm so sorry. Yeah. And your voice is gone. So this is just, and particularly where the world is today, I think this is just a really beautiful story, just to talk about kids that may feel different, and then how do you deal with those differences. And this story does a really nice job just trying to literally illustrate that.
Yeah. This story has a very rather interesting inspiration for how it came along.
Do we want to talk about that afterwards?
Oh, well, it's Kelly had a coworker at one time who was what's the best way to put it.
It was there was a little rant going on
Yeah.
WhatsApp, and this particular person was upset that a door had been left open and was accusing people. And I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, I let something in, but I'm so OCD about locks. I mean, I know I checked it. And so then at some point we just see this person sit there and own up and go, it was me. And then one of my other coworkers goes, well, who is me? And they said, Ellie. And so this person had inadvertently been pulled into this WhatsApp chat and just decided to take one for the team, even though she had no idea who she was. But I think they were endlessly entertained by this paranoia that this person had.
But the paranoia went a bit farther than that. There was a coworker who was, and as I am told by a very reliable source here, would come up with some theories about what was going on in the world. And of course, in this one, there was something about some sort of creature hiding in a closet. And it got progressively more fanciful from there.
Yeah,
it was based in a reality I think was quite individual to that person, shall we say? And I'm trying to be nice about it. So
yeah. So actually,
she was nuts. Okay, she was.
Between those two, kind of between the WhatsApp and then what this other person would tell you about things. So
between the foibles of the internet and the wild imagination of a conspiracy theorist, this charming little story came out of it.
And this person named Ellie who was going to say, I left the door open, even though I think they were in Fort Lauderdale. So,
yes. So this is called Ellie in the Closet.
Yes.
She's going to narrate. I'm going to do the voices. So.
Okay. This is Ellie. She's a rainbow lizard. She wants to make new friends and be a regular kid. However, she's afraid of others teasing her because of her rainbow scales. One day she goes to the park and she tries to play with the other animals. One duckling saw her, got scared, and ran to his mother. The mother duck gave Ellie an angry look and said in an icy voice,
"Leave and never come back."
Ellie ran home and hid in her closet. That night she cried herself to sleep. Who wants to be friends with an ugly lizard anyway? The next day, while playing with her dolls, she heard the closet door open. Panicked, she hid under her sleeping bag.
Hey there, are you okay?
A voice asked. Ellie felt shocked. No one had ever asked her that before.
I won't hurt you. My name is Storm.
Ellie wanted to see who Storm was, but she couldn't risk it.
It's okay. I understand. Can I at least make you a sandwich?
Storm asked. Come to think of it, Ellie was a little hungry.
Can I have peanut butter and jelly? Coming right up,
Storm said. Ellie enjoyed her peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She smiled, knowing that someone is looking out for her. The next day, Storm asked Ellie what sandwich she would like.
A grilled cheese, please. I'm on it,
Storm replied. Ellie enjoyed her grilled cheese sandwich. Storm is a fabulous chef. The next day, Storm tells Ellie about making a special sandwich.
What is it? It's a surprise.
Instead of making a regular sandwich, Storm made a beautiful sandwich with rainbow fries on the side. When Ellie received her special treat, she was so happy. The rainbow sandwich looked just like her. In fact, it seemed too pretty to eat. But Ellie was hungry. She wanted to show Storm her true self, but what would her friend think? Would they scream and run away? That same night, Ellie made the brave decision to come out of the closet. She slowly opened the door and she heard Storm joke.
Don't worry, I won't bite.
Ellie walked into the light and as silence hung in the air, Ellie started to cry.
What's wrong?
Storm asked.
I'm ugly.
Ellie sobbed.
You're beautiful,
Storm said. Ellie was shocked. She'd never been called beautiful before.
Why do you hide?
Storm asked.
I'm scared of people teasing me. I'm not teasing you. Your rainbow scales are lovely. Really? I know. You shouldn't hide who you are.
Ellie smiled as she felt her confidence grow as a rainbow rose.
Tomorrow, would you like to go to the park?
Storm asked. Ellie nodded.
I'd love to.
The next day, she headed down to the park. Ellie was brave, but nervous.
What if no one likes me?
Ellie asked.
You'll be fine,
Storm assured. A trio of kids spots Ellie when they see her rainbow scales. Their eyes grow wide with amazement.
Would you like to play with us?
A young cat asks.
Your scales are beautiful,
said a little puppy. Ellie smiles, and they have the best time. To celebrate, Storm treats them all to rainbow ice cream sandwiches. The end. I love that story. And you just, you just want to cry. And I think this is a beautiful story, although, some places you can't talk about this in classrooms, but, I think it's an opportunity just to discuss, whether you're somebody reading this as part of a youth group or whatever. I do think it is important to have those discussions about feeling different. Whether you're a rainbow lizard, whether you're somebody like Rapunzel who doesn't have a leg on the bottom, we're all different, and that's what makes us part of a beautiful rainbow. And I think particularly it's a very difficult time for kids who are LGBTQ, and
all the other letters that pertain
and
to
everything in between. And so my prayer is that we just as a society get more accepting. But I think that story might be able to open some minds.
Well, this, as I say, one of the great gifts of training in acting is that you learn how other people feel, and you hopefully come to understand and have some empathy and some compassion, and if not agreement, then at least understanding. And I think the arts, but acting in particular, can bring us all together.
Yeah, definitely.
It's what I believe. It's, I guess, why it has such a special place in my heart, why I keep coming back to it. So,
and it teaches you to think differently, and to again, stand in someone else's shoes and have empathy, even if you're playing a villain. And I got cast as like the mean lady, but sometimes you got to step back. What was it that made this villain a villain? We talk a little bit about like syndrome when we're doing script analysis.
Richard III.
Yeah. The 6 words that changed a syndrome's way of thinking in The Incredibles is fly home, buddy, I work alone. He wanted to be good, but then he was bad. So when so rather than just doing, I'm a full-out villain, well, there was that vulnerability. So, when you try to figure that out, it does give you compassion, maybe even for somebody who isn't being completely nice to you. You wonder, well, what are they going home to? What is their home life like, that this is their first response? And then it can help you at least, try to take you out of the situation a little bit. I think that story just really, with all the stories, like whether it's Rapunzel Pup or Zoo Adventure, and we learn compassion about Chloe. We learn compassion about Rapunzel. Boo's afraid, and, he's also on the spectrum, so he can have that compassion for her. And then Ellie, of course.
Well, I'll just finish it off by saying I was having a discussion with somebody the other day, and the conclusion of it all wound up being everyone out there, or everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. So be kind.
When in doubt, be nice. I think I want to kind of use this as our tagline.
Okay. Is
when the going gets tough, the tough get creative. Although you don't have to be tough. The tough and the not so tough get creative. It just helps you. It helps you feel better, just to create on your own. So whether it's writing, whether it's reading, whether it's painting, whether it's sewing, whether it's cooking,
whether it's problem solving, whether it's starting a new company,
singing,
whether it's designing a new product, whether it's
graphic arts. I like to go on PicMonkey. I just created a new graphic for a script that I finished, and I'm having fun. So do that for yourself. Get creative, give yourself some creative me time, and you will be surprised how much better you feel.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for you, if it's for an audience for one, but do that and do that for yourself. All right.
Guys, thank you. I hope
Thank you
this
so
helps.
much.
As always, I hope this helps. And if anybody with any feedback whatsoever, any sort of commentary, we welcome all, so long as it's constructive, and we welcome everybody's input. So that being said,
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode, and we will be back next time. You guys have a wonderful and creative day. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and keep in mind that you can catch us on our social media, Creative Actors Lab on Instagram and Facebook, and by the same name on YouTube. And for more on what we do, you can go to our website,
creativeactorslab.com, all one word. Thank you for listening. Stay curious, make art, not war. Much love until next time.